wanted to provide you a quick onboarding video on Worktransformers.ai. Hopefully by now you have gone through the website and you have also filled up the sign-up form. And once you've done that, you will basically access the app by going into the website by clicking on Go to App. And once you've clicked that, the first thing you're going to see is a project name dialog box. The project name dialog box is a way to structure your conversations, bucket them either by projects or by themes of the conversations you have. We'll do it this way so you can always come back to the conversation. So let's start by doing one. Let's call it demo _1 and create a project. And once you create the project, you will see these multiple modules come up. And each of these modules have been specifically trained from a strong element of domain specificity on corporate real estate, particularly, and they do different tasks. So this guy here called Educate is a workplace trends expert. It's been trained on reams and reams of global data and it's constantly been trained by us, not by your conversations, on workplace trends. The Ideate module here is a workplace strategy expert. So conversing with it, it's almost like speaking to an expert, and you can use it for multiple use cases. We're going to talk about it in a second. The Calculate module is a numerical expert. It's ideal to develop space calculation scenarios, to develop business cases, discuss implications on space and costs based on varying needs, and it's trained on thousands and thousands of as-built space budgets out there. And the Create is a module we are testing right now, and it helps with RFPs, whether developing RFPs, whether responding to RFPs, even assessing the RFPs you've received. One unique differentiator about Worktransformers.ai is the fact that each of these modules have been trained with underlying proprietary frameworks and backed up by a lot of anonymized industry-specific data. And we continuously do that in the background as much as evolve our frameworks based on new information we are gathering continuously from the market. You've now probably registered. Once you go into the settings, it will ask you to fill your profile information. That is very important to us, so that we can ensure there is safe use of the platform, and two-factor authentication is also of utmost importance for security to maintain that access. Your conversation remains yours, but who accesses that is just you. So we ensure that two-factor authentication is enabled. Now, one thing worth knowing is that we do not train our models with any of your conversations or your data. Those remain totally yours. Any files you attach are basically deleted soon after the conversation ends, or worst case within a 24-hour period. We train the model through the proprietary information we gather from our partners or ourselves in the market, so your conversations aren't being used. We've just created a project called Demo 1, and let's just click on it. Let's just go back and click anywhere outside, and let's just have a conversation with the Educate module. We can use the speech to text box. I use it pretty often. If I don't feel like typing, I try and dictate into it. So let's just ask, so what are the most recent workplace trends in London's Canary Wharf area? What are banks doing, other organizations in the area doing from a perspective of the way they work? Can you provide us with the information, please? So as I've done that, hopefully it's captured my voice, which it has perfectly. So let's just send. It takes a couple of seconds to look into your prompt. Just speak in natural language. You don't need to be a prompt engineer to use this platform. And once it started to kind of realize what you've asked it to do, it gathers the training data that it has, and it starts to answer the question in much more detail. So if we were just to review, it is talking about the area is hosting several major banks, legal firms, and multinationals. And since the pandemic, the workplace practices there have gone notable shifts, with leading occupiers adapting their office and work models to modern expectations. It will give us the detailed answer on who sort of is doing what in a way, and it will start to give us a lot more detail that it has, and we can continue to ask it a lot more questions. Now, this module is very helpful if you are researching on a particular workplace trend. You can ask it by questions by your sector, questions by your geography, and it will do its best to answer the question based on what you ask. Speak with it in natural language. Let's just jump to the next module. On the top bar here, you can see you can flick through them very quickly. So Ideate is a workplace strategy expert, as I said, and it's been trained on the underlying Destination 2.0 framework, which is trademarked and proprietary to us. And a simple prompt could be, how can you help me? And its use cases are basically immense. You can converse with it around a challenge you might be facing. And that's quite important because typically workplace intelligence, workplace strategy is done at the front end of a project, whereas day 2, day 3, day 5, you continue to use the workplaces and new types of challenges arise constantly. And you need somebody to speak with in that case. And this model is perfect for that. You can even upload any data that you might have, any utilization data, any survey data, even badge swipe data, any data you have, and it has the ability to read through and answer your questions. And it is driven by the framework, so it ensures that it is following that when necessary and not following that when it's not required. So this is quite a smart model. I would definitely give it a shot. We have users using it even to develop change management programs and communication templates. So the use cases are immense, and we hear amazing stories day in, day out in terms of how it's being used. The next module is the Calculate Scenario module. So that is a numerical expert, as I said earlier. And if we were to simply ask it around space requirements, it's perfect at guiding you through the process. The generic models out there would jump into answering questions, whereas this model, I've asked it, how much office space do we need for 300 employees? And just like an expert would, it's asking us certain questions because there are many variables involved in terms of what is our hybrid policy, what is rough persona mix. Now, maybe you don't want to go into that level of detail. If you do have the detail, please let it know, and your approach to desk sharing. These are the 3 basic questions it needs to be able to start doing space calculations for you. I will do a specific video on the Calculate module because this is one of my favorites, because it even has the capability to develop high-level cost models, which could inform your business cases. And finally, what we have here is the Create module, which is an RFP expert. And it's been trained on thousands and thousands of RFPs, and it's driven by an underlying framework which we call Worktransformers.ai lens. There is more detail that is going to come out on that particular framework, but that framework helps it guide you through the process, whether you're creating RFPs, whether you're assessing RFPs, or you're even responding to RFPs. We've had use cases where someone received an RFP, a design and strategy RFP, for example, for a workplace project, and they uploaded it here. And the module managed to identify what information was missing from that RFP, which should have been provided to you, and helped raise the right questions, as much as it has been used by occupiers who are issuing RFPs to cross-check whether they have covered everything or not. Again, it's worth trying it. Now, you can always kind of flick back and go back to previous conversations and continue speaking. A lot of our users do that quite a bit. The platform is pretty much free to use to begin with. You get a number of tokens per month, which will allow you specific number of queries. But if you did want to move to a better plan with higher token allocation, you can upgrade here. But let's say you want to stay on free forever, but in certain moment you have a need for utilizing higher tokens because you're resolving a problem in conjunction with these domain specific models, you can always buy additional tokens, and those top-up token credits come here. So we continue to give you free monthly tokens to be able to use the platform, but if you do run out, there is an option there. You can reach out for support here. You can log a ticket if you've got any queries. We are more than happy to address them as soon as we can. The platform can also change into light and dark modes through here, depending on how you would like to use it. We have not specifically timed it like many platforms do, because we realize that people have their certain preferences. Now, one thing that I should mention, which is quite unique about the way we have designed the first phase of UX for our platform, is we wanted to compound the knowledge of multiple modules which are driven by multiple frameworks and large language models. So you'll see these plus signs everywhere. As you click through these plus signs, let's say you like a particular piece of information that an expert module is giving you, you click on them and the information starts to go into the notepad. And then you can basically start to collate your notes over here. And once you've done that, you can basically start to utilize the notepad module for any administrative tasks you might want to do. For example, there is another large language model running here. And if I simply say, summarize the above findings into a short summary for a board report, nothing more than a single side of A4 for me. Let's give it that simple prompt. Again, you don't have to be a prompt engineer to use this, and just send it. And it'll exactly do a summary of what they've fed it. So the notepad is a very useful tool to create emails, to create board report summaries. And we have also provided a number of pre-prompts in here, which you could utilize. And as you are continuing to work with the notepad, each version of the notepad is created for you, and it always stays there in conjunction with the conversation you're having. So the platform becomes quite a bit of a go-to platform for you to utilize continuously and acts as your co-pilot. There's going to be a lot more videos coming out very soon on a number of these modules and their capabilities. Thank you for your interest and possibly signing up and utilizing the platform, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.